Hey babes, welcome. My name is Tony. If you have not been here, if you have been here, then you're already noticing we are doing things a little bit differently today. We are definitely going to get into the discussion of what it means to be on your glow up journey, but not just about being on your glow up journey, but what it looks like to be intentional on your glow up journey, what it's going to look like as far as us actually being productive in 2025, and also what it looks like to be in alignment with your higher self as you progress during this journey. So I said I was going to combine both worlds today because maybe you know, maybe you do not know, but I still share a lot of beauty content on my short form platforms on TikTok and Instagram, and I kind of wanted to collide both worlds today because typically all of my long form videos here on YouTube are strictly me sitting down, we're talking about all of the discussion topics, laying them out, and I just wanted to kind of combine both worlds because I really kind of miss doing a little bit of makeup on my channel. So I am going to do this today. You guys tell me if you like it. Tell me if you don't like it. Whatever you guys enjoy the most, I will stick to that. But anyway, that is enough rambling, blah, blah, blah. We got all the information out there. Let's go ahead and get into it. I truly think the very first thing that we need to do is really think about what our personal definition of a glow up is. Because before we can become intentional about the glow up, it's important that we know what our own definition of that is. And this is just an FYI real quick. I am going to look like an Oompa Loompa for a hot second. However, once I put my concealers and everything else on, it blends down really nicely. So we got to trust the process, okay? Some of you may know this already. Some of you may not. So just for the sake of everybody being on the same page, I'm going to give you my personal definition of what I feel like a glow up is. Because right now, in our society, you guys, there is a lot of push about the glow up being attached to the physical transformation. And honestly, it's so much more than that. So I specify it by saying mental glow up because I'm talking about all of the things that I'm going to do internally for my glow up, not just the physical appearance. Like, yes, physical appearance is just a small part of the glow up, but truly when it comes down to it, it might be 5%. Maybe you change your makeup, you change your hair, you change the way that you style yourself. That is only a small percentage. But even talking about that 5% change as far as your physical appearance, when it comes down to it, it's still backed by value because everything that we're doing in this glow up journey has value attached to it. So it's not like you're being vain and you're trying to change your appearance to fit in with everybody. You're changing it based off of the values that you are making or the values that you're setting at this point of your life. When I think about a glow up, I'm thinking about the confidence that I'm building. I'm thinking about becoming more self-reliant. I'm thinking about holding myself accountable. I'm thinking about overcoming comparison because we all know comparison is a huge thing, especially if you do anything dealing with social media. If you are on social media to promote your business, regardless of whether you're running your business or whether you're trying to be a content creator, influencer, whatever, there's always going to be that comparison that gets in the way. And on top of that, I feel like a glow up has a lot to do with how we are showing up for ourselves, even when we feel like we failed. So having that courage to still show up for yourself, even when you feel like, oh my gosh, I have failed myself, this was the worst thing that I could have done, you still show up in spite of. So the reason we get our definition in place first is because we want to know how to be intentional during this process. So yes, we can become intentional overnight just by shifting a few little actions that we do throughout the day. But when you know exactly what it is that you're trying to change, you know exactly how to be intentional, right? Because when we think about it, intentionality is only one component of the overall change that we're trying to make. It's just one little piece. Like, I want you to think about your car, for example. There's a lot of components that go into making that engine turn over when you put the key in for that car to drive. So I want you to look at intentionality that way. Intentionality is only one component of your actual change. Actually, let me specify that even a little further. It is one component behind why you decide to change your actions, because it's the change in the actions that actually gets us the change that we want to see in our lives as a whole. One of the very first things that we have to get through our head when we decide to be extremely intentional about the choices that we make for ourselves is to not feel bad about it. Okay, that is one thing I felt like I struggled with so much when it came time to make the choices that I needed to make for my life. My personal choices that I need to put in place for myself, I would feel guilty about it. So I want that to be the first thing that you remind yourself of when you are deciding to be intentional about the choices that you're making in your life, is that you don't want to feel guilty about it. You don't want anybody to guilt trip you either about feeling the way that you feel or making the moves that you make. Listen here, you guys, we have full control over this process. So with me having full control, the last thing that I'm going to allow to happen is for somebody to get in the way of that. Remember, this is about being intentional. So of course, we have to think about ways that we get in our own way, ways that we allow other people to get in our way. We think about the big decisions. We think about the small decisions, like literally every single choice that you make. Brings me into my next talking point really, which is practical tips, because obviously, again, we want to be intentional, but how can we be intentional? We want to make choices that are going to put us on track for staying that way. So we need practical everyday things that we can begin to look at that are going to help us continue with being intentional. Maybe you're familiar with the 12-week year. If not, excellent book. You should definitely check it out. But in that book, it talks about breaking down your goals. A lot of us look at our goals from a broad perspective, right? We look at, what can I do in this whole entire year? Just my personal opinion, but I just feel like when we look at things more than a week out, it kind of produces a little bit of anxiety, or it can produce a little bit of anxiety. It can produce a little bit of stress. I mean, really and truly, all we have is one day at a time anyway. So the best approach is to literally just take it one day at a time. You know what? Scratch that, because let's just be honest. It's minute by minute. When it comes to being intentional, it is minute by minute, because you could be literally, let's say again, sitting on the couch watching TV, and in that minute you can ask yourself, is this helping me be productive? Is this helping me to become the woman that I envision myself being? So you really have to look at what you're doing minute by minute throughout the day. We have our habits. So of course, if I'm not being intentional, I'm going to continue to do the things that I've always done. However, when I start becoming intentional, I'm becoming more aware, and I'm starting to notice, oh, okay, I'm doing something in this minute that is really not helping me be productive. It's really not helping me to align myself with the person that I envision myself being. I'm gonna be real honest. I've probably done like 7 takes already. Look here, when I first started my channel, yes, I did start as a beauty creator, and I was getting used to being able to talk and do my makeup at the same time. Baby, this is a skill. Okay, we got it a little easy on TikTok and Instagram. You could jot down a couple of notes and boom, 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 and you can be done. But to actually sit and think about my thoughts while I'm doing my makeup, that is a skill within itself. So I'm trying here. But if you notice me talking a little slower than normal, that's because I'm trying to think of my thoughts and do makeup all at the same time. I know I just rambled. Anyway, getting back to just some practical tips that you can do. So let's say you're trying to be intentional this week. What can you do? Well, maybe you can start reading. Just start reading. I mean, honestly, you guys, I was never a reader, but I am finding so much enjoyment in reading. I used to make the excuse that when I would read, it would make me sleepy, which I still partly believe. I think I just need a little pair of readers, because I think it's because my eyes strain. If you want to be intentional, start reading. I'm telling you, it slows you down and it makes you become a little more aware of your timing. It's really easy to sit down and watch TV for a couple of hours. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to y'all, I have been binge watching Younger on Netflix. I didn't think I was gonna be interested in it when I watched the first couple episodes. Then I was like, okay, I'm gonna just watch the first season. Honey, I have been binge watching that show for about a week straight, and I'm almost done. Terrible, I know. Today I was like, this is not really me being intentional about my time. And so I had to force myself to turn it off, sit down and create my notes or finish my notes that I wanted to do for this video. And I'm like, okay, that's me choosing to be intentional about my time. Because what would have happened had I not forced myself to get off that TV? I would have been pissed because what? I don't have my notes prepared. That means that I can't shoot my video. Now, of course, I probably could have still shot this video. However, I don't like getting on here without my notes anymore. Like, I could get off the dome and ramble, which I have done a couple of times, but I prefer to be prepared. I prefer to get on my, turn my camera on and know exactly what I'm talking about. I told y'all, this is minute by minute. When it comes to being intentional, you are literally moving minute by minute, and that is because you have been so stuck in your habits, the way that they have been, that you don't think about it. You just naturally do it. Well, we have to start recreating our habits. We have to get out with the old and in with the new, and you do that by becoming intentional. Maybe you want to start journaling this week as being more intentional. You can definitely do that. You just have to make sure that you're setting aside the time. It took me like 6 months to get back on the routine of getting up at 5:30. I don't know why. Actually, I do know why, and I'm going to get into that in a little bit. But it took me a while to get back on that routine. Well, once I started really getting back on that routine, I said, okay, I'm going to make sure that I journal. I want to be intentional about being aware of where I am, okay? Because truth be told, we experience a lot during the day, and I was not checking in on myself enough last quarter. Like, I already told y'all, if y'all been here, y'all know the last quarter of 2024 for me was terrible, but I want to make sure that I never experience that again. So I'm going to become more aware of my feelings, more aware of where I'm at in life, because honestly, it is my responsibility to check in on me. Now, of course, my husband checks in on me. He's like, babe, you good? What happened? You want to talk about anything? And of course, I will talk to him, but honestly, it's not his responsibility to check on me. I have to check on me. I have to make sure I'm not getting to the point where I'm about to break down and, I just feel overwhelmed. I feel like I have too much going on. I don't want to get to that point anymore, because that's exactly where I ended up at. Every self-help channel you come across is probably going to talk about journaling. I know y'all are probably like, girl, we have heard that before. Listen. I would not be reiterating that information if I did not believe that it can truly help you change your life. And it really can. So again, if you want to become intentional about that this week, make sure that you're setting aside that time. Make sure that if you catch yourself sitting on the couch and you're like, oh my gosh, I need to get up, make sure that you get up. If maybe you're sitting there and you're scrolling on your phone on social media and you know that you need to get up and you need to journal, force yourself to get off. And here's the thing about it. When you make the decision to become more intentional and you start plugging in some of these practical ways that you can become more intentional, you should not feel obligated to do it, okay? You should not feel like, oh my gosh, this is a chore that I have picked up. I don't want to do it. It should not feel like that. You should feel excited about doing whatever that activity is. Like, when I'm journaling, I am excited to journal. When I'm reading, I am excited to read. Like, I look forward to reading every day now, because I know I'm reading books that are helping me transform my mind, that are helping me to think better, to help me shift my perspectives. I look forward to that. Truth be told, I actually look forward to monitoring my time on social media. Like, I already have a screen app in place. But the fact that when that screen goes off, like my time limit has been cut off, the fact that now I have enough self-control to not open that app again unless I absolutely have to. Like, if I'm in the middle of posting something and it shuts off because I've run out of time, of course I'm going to get on. I'm going to finish doing what I need to do. However, if I'm just on there scrolling and that time gets cut off, I look forward to it getting cut off, and I look forward to the fact that I don't feel like I have to be on there. Because last year, just tragic. It was tragic. Like, I had zero self-control. Some days I would catch myself just scrolling for like literally an hour. It's so easy to do. So again, now I'm becoming more intentional. I want to take back control of my time. When that timer goes off or that screen closes, baby, that's done. Like, I'm not getting back on because I want to be intentional about keeping myself separated. I don't want to feel like, even though, okay, let me rephrase this. Yes, I do social media for a living. I'm on YouTube. I'm on the short form platforms. But just because I am choosing to live a small part of my life on social media for the purposes of building a career does not mean that I'm going to spend every last second of my life on there. It don't work like that. Let me do my brows real quick, because one thing I cannot do is talk and do my brows. We've covered making our definition for what it is that we're trying to be intentional about. Now it's time to talk about how we're actually going to stay productive. It's the beginning of the year. I feel like we're all kind of in that phase where we're setting new goals. We're thinking about the things that we want to accomplish in 2025. We're also reflecting on what we didn't accomplish in 2024. Here's the thing, and I feel like a lot of us end up having this happen, but we'll be so motivated in Q1, like those first 3 months, we're motivated. We're like, okay, I know what it is that I want to do. I have my mind set. And then we start to creep into Q2. And a lot of that motivation disappears. Honestly, it might not even happen in Q2. Like, for me personally, I know that sometimes it has happened like right towards the end of Q1. I'll do so good all of January, all of February, and then it's like right as I'm transitioning into like early March or mid-March, I kind of lose my motivation, and I don't want to lose my motivation this year. So this year, I don't want to focus on just being productive. I want to focus on getting sustainable productivity in 2025. That means that hustle culture is out for me. And I talked about this recently, but again, I just feel like it aligns so much. I feel like it aligns so much with today's conversation, but hustle culture is done for me. I am definitely adopting the less is more theory. Now, just because you might weed out hustle culture does not mean that you're going to get rid of your determination. That is the problem. I feel like we think if we're not hustling that we're not determined anymore. You can be just as determined as you were before, but giving up on hustle culture means that you're giving up on doing the things that you're doing for the satisfaction or the approval and validation of everybody else around you. Essentially, you're giving up being in the competition. And here's the thing that I'm realizing, actually more than anything right now. Once you exit the competition and you truly understand what it means to be on your own path, you will find not only more peace in your life, but you will find that you were enough the whole entire time, because that's something that is stripped away from us when we are constantly comparing ourselves, is our ability to see that we are enough as we are. And I want you to understand that that's exactly what you're going to get back when you decide to get out of hustle culture, get out of the competition, and realize that everything that you have about yourself is more than enough to win the race that you're trying to run. So I ran out of my one size powder, which I would usually set like the outer parts of my face. So we're gonna wing it. I'm using some pressed foundation, and y'all just, if it don't come out right, just don't say nothing. Act like you don't see it, okay? We trying something. So obviously we want to know how we gain sustainable productivity. First thing I feel like that can help you in gaining sustainable productivity, that productivity that's going to last you for the long haul, so that you don't lose that motivation in the first quarter, but it's just taking on smaller amounts of tasks. So at max, just take on 3 good tasks per day. Maybe you're working on a bigger project right now. If you are, just work on that one big project for that day. I feel like the biggest thing is we overwhelm ourselves. And when we overwhelm ourselves, we lose our motivation. That, I mean, just simply put, when we have so much going on, especially if you're looking at your checklist first thing in the morning, right? And you have 10 things on there. And at the beginning of the day, you're like, oh, like I'm dreading this. Like, how am I going to get through all of this? Look at the tone that you're setting over your day. It's overwhelming, and it's okay to admit that it's an overwhelming schedule. Okay, that might have been a little too much blush, but I'm gonna blend it out, so hopefully I don't look like a cartoon character at the end of it all. Another thing you can do is to start looking at some time restraints. So I don't know if you want to time block or if you want to put a time limit on the things that you are doing. But this is like the only way that you're gonna be able to gain back control. Like, think about, and I'm just gonna use this just because I already talked about it, but when I talked about me being excited for that feeling of being in control when my social media time limits go off and my phone shuts off, it shuts the app down. That's the kind of time limit I'm talking about. Like, it's a time restraint that you put in place so that you are controlling the amount of time. Because like I said, it is so easy to just be on social media and you look up 30 minutes has passed, an hour has passed. Like, I have, the way that my time restraints are set on my screen time app is I can get on Instagram and TikTok, both of them. I can get on there for 10 minutes a piece 3 times a day. Now, like I mentioned, some days if I am posting and I need to like get back on there to finish out the post, or I need to get back on there just so I can stay active for like the, first 10 minutes of it being posted, then I'll get back on there. But I try to keep it as close to that 3 times a day for 10 minutes as much as possible, because I just feel like that is more than enough. That is an hour right there, an hour of being on social media right between those 2 apps, let alone the amount of time that it takes me to, post my YouTube video, get that edited, do all the things for that. So I'm trying as much as I can to put time restraints so that I can regain control over my day. Because let's be honest, we'll sit and we'll say, oh, I don't have enough time. I got this going on, I got that. I guarantee you, if you were to look at your schedule, you have time. Like, you have time. You just don't realize how much time you have because you're not tracking it. And that's the thing. We have to be able to track what it is that we're doing so that we can ensure that we are utilizing our time as best as we can. A little white cast I'm trying to drown out under my eyes, but we're going to fix it. But another thing that makes you productive is getting sleep. Okay, we cannot think that we are going to be our most productive selves by getting 3-4 hours of sleep. Like, it's just not happening. You can only thrive on that for so long. At some point in time, and it's going to catch you. Trust me, it is going to catch you, and it's going to catch you when you least expect it. You'll be out somewhere and almost falling asleep at the dinner table if you're out on a date because you're so tired. It's going to catch up. So I want you guys to keep in mind the next time that you're working late, I want you to ask yourself, can I come back to this tomorrow? And 9 times out of 10, you probably can. I make it a high priority now. Here I go. Y'all know almost every video, I get tongue tied like that because I talk so fast sometimes and I try to slow down and I just can't. And then the words just come out jumbled. So anyway, damn, what was I saying? Oh my gosh, I hate when I do that. I lost my train of thought. Because, I think what I was saying was I prioritize my sleep now, so much so that like in the evening time, I'll cut my husband off. I'll be like, look, I'm going to bed, kiss the kids good night, make sure everybody's in the bed. But I'm like, I'm just not doing it. We used to have this habit of staying up at nighttime and watching TV. There have been plenty of nights where I've gotten sucked into a show and stayed up watching TV till 2 and 3 in the morning. And then I'm trying to work the next day. It's not happening. Now, I make it a priority to get at least 7 hours of sleep. I am in the bed by 10. I am up at 5:30, 6 o'clock at the very latest. Actually, I'm trying to get back to getting up at 5:30, and that's what I've been doing lately. But like I said, you have to take control of that though. Nobody else can take control of that, you have to make it a priority to get that sleep, because that is how you're going to remain productive. Your body has been properly rested, and not only properly rested, y'all, but also get your vitamins checked. That's another way that you're going to be productive. So I have always had an iron deficiency. I've always been pretty anemic for a long time, and I did not prioritize taking my iron pills like I should have. The last 6 months or so, I noticed that I was extremely tired. I always had constant headaches, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe I'm just not drinking enough water. No, baby, I had that iron checked, and it was severely low. Borderline to the point where I almost needed an iron infusion, and they were like, either you're going to take some iron or that's your next route. And I'm like, no, we ain't going that route. So I had to prioritize taking an iron supplement. I've been taking the Myricks liquid one. I've been on that iron for 2 weeks now. I know most people say, oh, you need to wait about 3 weeks to a month to actually see the differences or actually feel the differences. Don't you know that I have been able to feel the difference in this short amount of time? I have not had one headache. And I'm even noticing at nighttimes were terrible for me. I would get super tired around 6-7 o'clock, and I would be pretty much done for. And now I realize I have so much energy from the time that I wake up in the morning till the time I go to bed at 10 o'clock every night. I have so much energy. Like, there's not a point in the day where I'm feeling like I'm dragging, or I'm feeling like I'm just about to pass out, like I need to take a nap. I don't feel any of that anymore. So being productive also requires you, if you want to be productive, that requires for you to make sure that you are staying on top of your vitamin levels, getting those vitamin levels checked, and making sure that you are taking whatever supplements you need to take to ensure that it is replenishing your body the right way. Of course, if you want to be more productive, you can always change the way you're eating. I don't want to get too far into that because I've talked about that before, and I feel like that's just common knowledge for most of us. We know that a lot of these foods that we are consuming do not align with the people we're trying to be. Honestly, all of the processed foods, refined sugars, all of that stuff that's out there, we know that we don't need to consume it, but we do. So if you want to be more productive, start looking at what kind of food you're putting into your body. But there is one more that I specifically want to talk about, and I know it's easier said than done, but if you want to be more productive, you have to get rid of comparison. I told you guys, reading has definitely become one of my new favorite hobbies. I am trying to read 2 books per month. So I already have read my first one. I'm on to my second one. And the second one that I chose is The Courage to Be Disliked. And let me just say, that book, if you really want some gems, okay, I'm talking about some gems that will completely change your perspective in life, read that book. I will have it linked below on my Amazon store. I'm telling you, I haven't been able to put the book down. Let's just put it like that. But there is a part that I wanted to share with you guys. There is a chapter in the book that says, I wrote it down. It says, life is not a competition. That is the chapter in the book. And there is a statement that is made, and it says, we do not walk in order to compete with someone. It is in trying to progress past who one is now that there is value. So when you go on and continue reading that particular chapter, you begin to understand that competition really doesn't exist. What is mentioned in the book talks about an inferiority complex. Now, I am not going to get into all of the details, but I want you guys to have a general understanding that competition does not exist. It does not exist when it comes to you looking at another person and being in competition with that person. Who you're really in competition with And the issue at hand is the person that you are right now and the value that you're placing on that. I hope that makes sense. I really hope I'm breaking that down in a way that like you guys can understand. Essentially, you're in competition with the version that you're trying to become. That chapter and the ones after have truly shifted my perspectives. Okay, like now I notice I'm getting on social media and I'm truly at the point where I'm like, I don't care. I'm going to post what I want. I'm going to post at the times that I want. I don't have to worry about when is the best posting time. Am I keeping up with trends, this and that? I don't care. And honestly, I am learning that yes, I place a lot of value on the person that I am trying to become, but I also value who I am right now. I don't have to compete with that. I value being where I am now because I know that all of the life lessons that I have to take in, I'm taking them in right now so that I can actually become that person. So like I said, it's easier said than done, but you truly have to remove the idea of comparison because truly at the end of the day, that's all it is. It's just an idea that we have been force fed and it's not real. Okay, fun fact right now, I actually never bake. I'm just baking for today because I want to see if I can see a distinction in my makeup. I'm actually about to take all of this makeup off because it is nighttime and I am not going anywhere but in that bed back there. But anyway, we're just trying something. I want to wrap up the video though. Before I wrap up the video, I want to talk about what it means to be in alignment with your higher self. Kind of like I mentioned earlier when I said that you need to get your definition of what it is that you're trying to be intentional about. So for me, I want to be intentional about my glow up and I had to define what that glow up looks like for me. I feel like when you're trying to be in alignment with your higher self, you also need to be very clear on what that vision looks like. You can't get in alignment until you have a very clear vision of what your higher self looks like. So you could break that down into mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. You can cover those 4 categories as far as what falls into each of those categories that aligns with being that higher version. Once you have clarity on that, I feel like overall it gets easier for you to make the decisions that you need to make right now. So for me, weight loss is a big thing. I am actually on track for my weight loss this time. I know that I wanted to lose some weight when I did my 6-month tactical plan last summer, and you guys really enjoyed that video. I talked about some of my weight loss goals. I did not make those goals. I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I'm not going to feel like, oh my gosh, I failed. I'm just going to keep going. And I'll have a whole nother video discussion about that. But anyway, one of my goals, I can clearly see what I look like. Like I can clearly envision what I look like as my higher self, as that version who made all of the commitments and did all the actions. I can see what she looks like. So now I am taking like extreme awareness of what I am ingesting into my body. Before, I would eat all kind of snacks, junk, this and that. I've been a vegetarian, or technically I've been a pescatarian now for what, 7 years, 6 years, 6 or 7 years. I think it'll be 7 years this year. But you wouldn't be able to tell because I don't take care of myself. I was not taking care of what I was putting into my body. I didn't have any kind of awareness. I just ate what I ate and I wanted what I wanted. So with that being said, now I have a very clear understanding of who I want to be. And I am making sure that all of my decisions align with that version. When I'm thinking spiritually, I'm thinking about, okay, this version that hold on, y'all. It's hard for me to talk and do my lip. Hold on. But when I'm thinking about the version that I want to become spiritually, she is very, very in tune with the Most High, with the Creator. Okay. So I am making sure that I'm praying. I'm making sure that I'm meditating, but not just saying a prayer, like actually sitting in that moment as I am praying and really feeling the presence and the energy of the Almighty Creator being there with me. So I'm making sure that I am being aware of that energy, of that presence, and not just, saying a prayer and running words out of my mouth just so I can say, oh, I said a prayer today. Like, that's not what it's about for me. Like, really being in tune in that moment. And then also being in tune with your intuition. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I really hope this lighting comes out right, or I'm going to be irritated. Either way, this video is going to get posted. But what I wanted to say about being in tune with your intuition is it's important to be in tune with your intuition for two reasons. First things first, that is a direct line to the Almighty Creator. Your intuition is something so special. I have been in situations where I literally would feel in my intuition, you need to get out of here. This is not a place you need to be around. And it literally has saved my life. And I'm talking about like some shootouts, okay? Being in the wrong place at the wrong time and guns, gunfire flying. It's almost like I felt right before those situations happened when I would be out with friends and stuff. It's almost like I could feel like you kind of, like you notice when your hair starts standing up on your arms and you kind of get that gut instinct like, I need to go. That is the Most High speaking directly to you. That is why it is so important for you to be in tune with your intuition, because that's God speaking directly to you. That's God protecting you. That is God letting you know when something is right, when something is wrong, when you need to make the decision or you need to turn the decision down and do something else. You have to make sure that you are in tune, that you can hear, that you are listening. That is so very important at this stage in life, especially when you are trying to make certain decisions to become a better version of yourself. You need to be able to hear from God when God is trying to tell you, okay, this is the path that you need to take, or this is not the path that you need to take. That is your direct source to that guidance that you seek for. All we have to do is get into a quiet space and just ask. God is always going to show up. Especially, like I said, when you are in tune, God is going to show up. And you're going to know that it's nothing but the Almighty Creator and nothing else. And stopping on this point for just a second, another reason about being in alignment with your intuition is because when you are, you no longer give people the permission to make decisions for your life. We're so quick to allow people to pass judgment on the things that we have going on in our life before we actually sit and think about it and break it down and have time to, like I said, just marinate on it for a second. You can go directly to the source and ask for your guidance, and your guidance will be given. We don't want to give people the opportunity to taint a good thing before we even figure out that it's a good thing. Like, I hope that makes sense, because a lot of the times, you put it like this. You don't know who's really for you behind closed doors. You never know when there is secretly somebody who may envy you, who may be jealous. And it's not maybe that they're being intentionally jealous, but maybe they're going through things and they don't realize that that's how they're expressing themselves. So we don't want to give people the opportunity to taint what is possibly and potentially good for us. Even if we are stuck on the decision whether we need to do or not do whatever, we don't want to give people an opportunity to make decisions for us. You are grown. You have to make the decision for yourself. And if you need help, go to the Lord. Last but not least, it's about protecting your energy. We all know that, but not only is it about protecting your energy, but it's also about protecting your actions. Your habits and hobbies are going to start looking extremely different when you start prioritizing your energy. Right now, for me, I'm not drinking right now. That is me protecting my energy. That is me trying to, again, make the proper actions that I need to make right now in order to become the version of myself that I want to be. It's helping with my weight loss and helping me to not have so much inflammation in my stomach. Now, not that I was like a huge heavy drinker or nothing like that, but I was a social drinker. I would go out to dinner, I'm going to order a drink. And that's just not something that I wanted to do. I've actually recently had to pass up on, gatherings with others because of the fact that I don't want to drink. Now, like I said, here is when protecting your actions come into play. I am going to protect my energy by not putting myself into a situation where I'm not all the way in control. Because had I been in that environment, there is a good chance that I would have went back on what I said I wasn't going to do and would have done it. And then now at that point, I don't have control over my actions. So I want to protect my actions or the potential actions that I might get myself into by keeping myself away from that environment and protecting my energy. I hope y'all are catching what I'm throwing out right there. I'm not hurting others, I'm benefiting myself. And I don't feel like that's that's not a bad thing for you to look out for yourself. It's not a bad thing for you to make the decisions that you need to make for yourself so that you can better yourself along, because at the end of the day, you're the only person that can do the work. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all, I'm a little rusty. Like, I can tell doing this makeup get ready with me, I am rusty, but it really is something that I want to get back to. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this. Let me know in the comment section below if you enjoy this style of conversation, like where I do my makeup, but I'm also talking about things that can actually help us transform our lives. So let me know. But overall, I really do hope that this video gave you some encouragement. I know it gave me some encouragement as I was making these notes, just giving me some reminders, because I am literally on this journey with you guys. I am not ahead of anybody, okay? Trust and believe me when I say that. That is all I have for you guys today. I really hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, my loves.